Hey everybody, Evan Kirstel here. Super excited to chat with Paul Beyer from GAI Insights on Generative AI World coming to Boston in September. Paul, how are you?
Great, Evan. Thank you for the invite.
Well, thanks for being here and thanks for bringing this show to our hometown. Usually we have to travel far for something as exciting as a Gen AI conference, Vegas or LA or New York, but tell us about the event and tell us about yourself and how you put this together.
Sure. That's my background's a 25-year executive in different VC-backed companies, all B2B. Seen a lot of different tech waves. I spent 5 years at a company actually doing AI. We'd raised $70 million and had 7 data scientists and knew my way around this. But when ChatGPT kind of hit, at least I get my hands on in December, like everyone else, was just blown away by it. Evan, and calling all the data scientists I work with, and what is this thing? And this can't be as good. And really saw that this was a transformative product in a way, in a category, and that's uh, is really changing a lot of different things. We've seen tremendous change, as everyone's seen, from no awareness to some awareness to companies like Hague getting their market cap cut in half, to LA strikes and about the writers, which 100% about that, to uh, um, valuations of companies now being changed up and down based on how well executives adopt this technology.
Yeah, it's a fascinating topic. And tell us about the event. You know, what's going to be different? I go to a lot of events. I've been to a lot, as have you. Um, Tell us what we're looking to learn, to see, to experience. What should we expect here? It looks like a fabulous agenda.
Yeah, so we're really we do a lot of speaking and workshop work with executives, and what we continue to see is we call the bifocals. There's a lot of discussion on the top part of the bifocals, which is AI going to take over the world, going to kill us all, bias in the data. Those are important conversations. We're focused on the bottom half. What should companies actually do? The next this quarter and next six. Am I increasing my spending or not? Am I waiting it out? Am I leading? And what we have always believed in business is that one of the most instructive ways to do that is to listen to the early adopters and talk through actual use cases. And when we started looking in the market in May and April, there were very few use cases and very few people actually doing that. So this event is one of the first ones, if not the first one, we're really bringing enterprise Gen AI case studies. We're going to have over
Mhm.
20 case studies in 2 days, targeted at executive audience, investors, and heads of AI teams.
Well, it looks like a great learning experience. And you have some amazing educational partners too. It's not just industry, which is fantastic, but you've got folks from BU and Harvard and Stern. That's quite a interesting mix.
Yeah, and I think it's indicative of the need here. I mean, we're a brand new startup. This is a brand new space. A lot of people look at our speaker list and saying, that's what you intend to get. And we said, no, these are already all confirmed, have been confirmed for a while. And I think that just shows the real need in the marketplace to really have a rational discussion on what's actually making a big impact. Should companies really quadruple what they're spending in Gen AI or not? How should I organize? And that's what we pulled together, and been delighted with the set of partners, many of whom have stepped towards us that want to partner with us on this event.
People ask, what are the most impactful real world applications? And of course, I use Gen AI tools every day and as a content creator and content, editor of my own content and blogger. I mean, there's just so many use cases. But what do you see out there when you talk to
We're
your
seeing,
various
yeah,
partners?
correct. We're seeing a couple different things. One is on the industry level, we're actually just wrote a paper that's showing which industries are more at risk and which aren't. So there's a massive change, and the four industries are particularly impacted today at the CEO level are education, curriculum design, professional services, particularly legal, software development, and IT outsourcing. All
Mm,
those are actually seeing pricing changes or strikes, and I'd put entertainment in there as well. One of the things that, in terms of use cases here, they're really on two levels. One's on the individual employee level. That's at the task levels. A little bit you were talking about, Evan. How can I use this to respond to 30-page RFP? How can I use this tool for brainstorming taglines? That's individual, incredibly powerful. and a lot of alternatives now. Back in January, it was one. There's 10 to 12 major alternatives, not more now. And the second level is on the function level, the process level, where you have an application, have multiple people using it. How do I have my 35 customer service reps all use a chat bot that is based on my 500 public PDFs on my technical documentation? How do I have an onboarding experience for my 300 new employees at a regulated bank, leveraging the internal application here? So that's kind of the process or task. The process or function level, and those are the two major types of use cases. And lastly, in terms of functions, certainly marketing is using this a lot. We're seeing a lot more customer support, dabbling in HR, although that's kind of up and coming here. Very little so far in product development and supply chain, and finance is still trying to figure out what code interpreter are. But I think those functions as well start coming up.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think as Google and Microsoft integrate Gen AI into more of their tools, we'll see more adoption in those other kind of specialties. And it looks like there's a lot of focus on challenges and lessons learned to date at the event. What can you say around the roadblocks and how to overcome them?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different things happening. One is there's been oh my gosh, I call it cognitive vertigo. It's like, what is this thing? And how do we, it's like the early days in 95, 96, where people were looking at the browser saying, what do you mean my customer can just look through a thin client and see bank balance? So I think there's that aspect here. I think the other very real aspect is the hammer that's coming down. So most people are aware that 91, 92% of all the stock gains in the public market were driven by 5 or 6 stocks like NVIDIA and others that were AI driven. Well, all the private markets have seen that as well. So all the PE, private equity firms, are turning around and asking for and pounding on their portfolio companies. What is your Gen AI story here? I need a plan here. And those companies are then turning around and calling us and saying, what is this Gen AI stuff and how do I get a strategy here? So you've got a hammer. You got both kind of fear and greed. We've got some, fear of I got to get my investors happy because they're asking about something I don't know about. And greed of, my gosh, is this actually something I can really start gaining a competitive advantage on? Happening a lot in the marketplace.
Well, I even micro business like myself, I've seen a 10x differentiator in terms of using these tools.
Yeah.
With a very small team, I think I'm able to compete with a team of 10 or 20. So,
and two things on that. We see this continue. I call it the train between the locomotive and the caboose, between the leader and the laggard in industry is going to continue to stretch out. And you're saying your competitors not using us continue to be in the dust because of the learning curve. The second thing we're seeing is that this is all the top talent know this. This is the biggest career accelerant ever. So if I'm working at a company, it's not accelerating my learning curve, I'm leaving. So the talent draw to the leaders who are already leading the others is also going to accelerate that length of the train between the top and the bottom performers.
Yeah, disruption at its finest. We've also seen the rise of the chief AI officer. Do you think that's an actual trend, or is this just
well,
an
we've
anecdote?
seen that before. So the quality movement, we chief quality officers, we certainly chief sustainability officer, we chief people officers. I think the important thing that we continue to see is that this is a transformative technology. Companies need to integrate it well. It needs to be, like a lot of important things, business led and not IT led. But it needs to get integrated, and to think that you'll solely have it in one department, a little bit like quality, doesn't feel right, at least to me. Quality needs to be in everything, and that's why that title's gone down here. I think AI a little bit is like having a chief information officer or chief do your job correctly officer. I think it's going to be so pervasive. I think it'll probably move more towards chief innovation officer blending, where they're actually trying to innovate on new products for the company. And other parts will just get integrated. Gen AI is going to be in every single enterprise app, every single product out there.
Fascinating. So you come across a lot of investors, VCs, private equity. What do they ask you about typically when you encounter them?
Yeah, the ones. Everyone knows that most of the money in IT was made selling to enterprise. So everyone's very interested in what we're seeing there. So so that's probably question number one. Question number two, And the answer is still out there: is what is defensibility from an investor and strategy point? It's certainly not being in front of ChatGPT and doing a little, extension on that, and they come out with a plugin. You know, is large language models really defensible, or we're going to continue to see things like Facebook's Lambda, which is now an open source commercial license where you can take that, install it behind your firewall, have 85% trained capability that
Mm.
ChatGPT has. So does that get commoditized now? Is data, but now we have synthetic data coming up here. So is that so? This rapid discussion and Rubik's cubing of what is sustainable competitive advantage from an investor standpoint is really a very important question, and jury's still out on that.
That's going to be fascinating to learn about. So tell us about the what, where, when details here. September
Sure.
12th,
Yeah, and
Boston. Where is it?
yeah, 2-day conference, September 12th and 13th at the Royal Sonesta Hotel. It's a beautiful hotel right on the Charles River, down the street from
Beautiful.
MIT. We'll have about 250 execs. We'll have 10 different exhibitors on tables. Not be a lot of it, but you can at least go in a room and see different large language models. It's going to be, we're fortunate where we got enough interest. We'll be able to curate the audience. So it's really about end users and not other consultants or other vendors who haven't bought a table. It's going to be very interactive. We have 4 microphones. We're going to be interrupting speakers on stage if they say something we don't agree with. No speaker's going to be on 5 minutes without some questions in the audience. So it's going to be a very interactive, high energy learning experience and fabulous networking. It's going to be people from all walks of the AI ecosystem.
Well, it's exciting. Thanks for the media pass. I'm excited to attend. What do you think about events in general? Because there's so many events, they've gotten so pervasive right through the summer. Usually,
Right.
as an analyst or
Right.
an event goer, you'd have August off, but it's nonstop.
Yeah.
But this looks a little more intimate, a little more focused, and a little more fun than some of the big vendor events that we all go to
I think that
so
depends what you're
often.
looking for. I mean, one level, we almost call this executive education because it's so much and it's designed for senior person to spend all 2 days. Where some of the other events are, you fly in, you walk through the exhibit floor, you look at the calendar, maybe you go to 1 or 2 kind of talks, and you leave. And a day or 2 later, maybe have a couple of business meetings here. So it's definitely more on the learning collective size of it. But I think right now this is important. Learning is a critical piece of this. We talk about this is like swimming. You cannot, watch YouTube and understand what ChatGPT is. You got to go do it, get some time, do it again, use it in a use case here of that. So I think the need for education on just the 25 million knowledge workers in the United States that are well paid is pervasive, and it's going to require even more events and even more training before we actually really get this integrated into workflows and personal use cases.
Well, so exciting. So you're obviously laser focused on the event coming up September 12th. But what else are you involved with at GAI? What are you looking
Yeah,
forward
AI
to the rest
Insight.
of the year?
Yeah, we're doing a couple different things. We've done a lot of executive education. We have after about 50 or 60 presentations, we've got to hone down what's called coffee cups for left-handed people. So it's a way you walk through ideation, market research, building the product, legal agreements, and sales training. So it's a great way for executives and boards to actually get their hands around it. And we actually show a lot of real world examples. The second thing we're working on is we're working on I've got a whole team working on a Gartner-like report that's going to be called Corporate Buyer's Guide to Large Language Model. So it's going to take the 75 different vendors out there, and put them in basic categories. If you're trying to get a website up with a chatbot for 50 PDFs and have less than $1,000, there's solutions for that. But if you really want something behind a firewall that's got its own hardware and software and training and weights, you go look at Samba Nova Systems here. So we've got a lot of it. And the goal in that one is just to say that CTO or the AI team 15 hours in research as they kind of pull together their short list of which vendors to look at. And that will be released at the conference as well.
Fantastic. So you are a busy man, busy team. Well, thanks so much for sharing this quick update. We'll have to come back and do another session on lessons learned and insights gleaned from the event itself. Sounds like a fantastic opportunity. And yeah, thanks so much for sharing your vision and details about the event coming up. Look forward to meeting you. And thanks everyone for watching. Reach out to Paul. Look at the tweet, the post. You'll see details there and links to attend. All right, Paul.
Thank
Have a
you.
great week. Have a